Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Attention Talk Video. I'm your host, ADHD and Attention Coach 𝐓𝐘𝐒. We're here today with Griffin Rouse. Today's kind of cool because sometimes I like to share what I call obvious solutions that are not so obvious. People in the ADD world, like, I got to think out of the box, or I got to be kind of creative. And sometimes you just run across something that's really, really cool that might not work for you, but it worked for somebody. And it's very inspiring to get somebody to kind of like think about this type of stuff, of things that could really, really work. Griffin, you were working with a student that was struggling to remember things. And we started talking about point of performance and like a football hand type thing. Can you tell the stories with our viewers so they can understand this?
So it started out with remembering positive affirmations, and it became sort of a more widely used tool. We'll get to that, but he wanted to remember his positive affirmations, and he had these post-it notes on his closet door, and that was really effective in the morning. But as an ADHD person, the negative self-talk wasn't just reserved to first thing in the morning, shockingly enough. He needed it to be, as you said, a point of performance. So when it popped up, he had the responses ready, and he wasn't remembering them. So we spent a while thinking about this from different perspectives, and this did not, in fairness, come about in a week or two. It took some time. But what he got to was he could wear one of those armbands that quarterbacks wear to remember the plays on their the full sleeve armband there. He found he could get one on Amazon for like $20, no problem. And he's going to write down the affirmations on the armband and write down who gave him the affirmation, because that was also going to be an important piece for him. By writing the affirmations down, he came back and said, "Oh my God, this is so helpful." I said, "What's helpful? Tell me more. I want to hear about it." He said, "Well, whenever I have that negative self-talk now, I just open my armband. And I know, based on what the negative thought process is, the bad news I'm giving myself, that certain pieces of affirmation will be more or less effective, depending on, as he put it, who I'm up against, who's stepping into the ring against me. Once I know who my opponent in the ring is, the person I'm calling myself dumb versus I'm calling myself forgetful, a different affirmation will be used." And that's kind of my playbook. And I said, "What if you use that for other things?" He said, "Well, like what?" I don't know, homework, tests, quizzes, I don't know, anything to remember. He said, "Oh my God, I could do that." Yeah, you could. he said, and then the cool part is he did the next level of thinking. Right? Normally you have to ask, okay, how are you going to remember to do that? How are you going to keep a pen on you? All the sort of the little steps, right? He immediately went into, okay, so I've got to buy something a pen that I can hook to my belt loop. It's on like a retractable string. Then I'll always have a pen on me. My little armband will always have an armband. So that takes care of the writing, platform I can write on. That takes care of that. So I need to make sure I have my armband and my pen, similar to like my glasses or my wallet or my phone when I leave the house. How am I going to do that? He went through that process. He went through the whole thing. I get texts from him probably every few months now. Don't get me wrong, there are ups and downs. He's, needs a phone call, doesn't need, but that point has been consistent throughout because it works for him, because it was his idea, he owned it, and he spent the time to think about what is going to help him with this particular issue. It was awesome. He did a great job.
So with ADHD, everything often is the point of performance. When you have that thought or idea, you got to do something with that moment. And if you don't have anything to do, like a piece of paper, a pen or whatever, it's not there, it doesn't happen. And the notion that this is, I've never come across anything like that. The playbook type thing where you have it, you pull it out, you can kind of write right there, which is immediate, or an affirmation. This is just an example of kind of taking an ADHD situation and looking around and understanding and engineering something that would really work for the individual that now is really obvious. It makes a whole hell of a lot of sense to me, but before I never ever conceived of it until I kind of ran into you. And the idea is to share this idea with other people, because other people might pick up on it too. But the other thing too is there's all kinds of different ways to do this that are not tip, tricks, and strategies, that are based off of just understanding your ADD and what you need in that moment. So I really appreciate you coming on the story. Any final comments before we wrap it up?
I just second that this is a very individual thing. This worked for him. It's not going to work for necessarily everybody. And just being aware of where the pain point is, so where you need to, what you need to address. That awareness was something that was vital and instrumental to getting to that spot. And that was sort of, I think, the harder part for him, was developing the awareness he needed in order to get to that place. So focusing on awareness is a big piece of it.
If you search Attention Talk Video obvious, you'll come up with other examples of this. One of my favorite, if you put Attention Talk Video and you put in punk rock, you'll get Dr. 𝐂𝐒 and a couple of them on that. But again, sometimes these types of things that are not so obvious are great things. So we hope we spurred your creativity. If you're new to our channel, please hit the subscribe button, become a subscriber. If you're an existing viewer, what do you think? You got some funky ideas and stuff that you've done that works, post it. Let's know what's kind of going on. With that, I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Attention Talk Video. Take care.